Hey guys, Ryan from R2K Trading here, and we're going to be going over trading strategies and why they are important. So, why is a trading strategy so important? Well, a trading strategy is basically a plan that you have before you go into trading that day in the market. Now, why do you need this? You need this because if you don't have one, you're just trading blindly. And especially when it comes to trading, if you're trading blindly, you can lose a lot. So, as you guys know, this picture on the right is my trading strategy for beginners, and I've laid it out here in such a way that it's easy to understand. So basically, this trading strategy is for accounts maybe 1500 to 2000, although it works with larger and smaller accounts. So how it works is you want to split up your account into sections based on risk. So you want to say 200 to 250 on light or high risk options, 350 to 400 on medium risk, and 500 max for heavy risk. And you want to cut losses early. That's the only way this trading strategy works, is if you cut losses early at about -10, maybe even -15%, because you can always make those back, but you can't make back -50, -80% very easily. It's going to be harder and you're going to have to use more premium, which leads to higher risk. And the whole point of this strategy is to limit risk. Now, this one also utilizes a spreads method in which it only focuses on options that have a smaller spread. And what I mean by that is that the option bid and ask aren't more than 0.1 apart. Now, if you take a look at like Amazon or larger stock, their options might be $100 apart. And this can especially hurt you. If you're trading Amazon with a small account of about 1500 to 2000, you may be doing something wrong. Unless you're very, very confident in that play, then it can hurt you a lot, because if that play starts dropping, first off, if you're trading an Amazon call in an account of 1500 to 2000, then you're most likely using up your whole account. But because the bid and ask are so far apart, when you go to cut your play at a loss, you may be cutting for more than $100 or $200 loss. So this one can really hurt you. That's why the whole point of this play is to limit risk and to close those spreads in. Now, this is my trading strategy. We're going to go on to the next one. It's not listed here, but it's Scott's trading strategy. His trading strategy is pretty straightforward. It's pretty amazing. He focuses on calls, but he focuses on timing the dips. He always buys the dips and runs them up. But to be safe, he always chooses a longer expiration. And it usually always pays off, because when you have a longer expiration, you have more time, limited risk, and you can easily pull, 10, 20% or so, or maybe even sometimes he pulls hundreds, 200, 300%. And that is the point of his trading strategy. He times the dip, and that takes a lot of skill, but if you can do that effectively, then it works amazing, especially those longer expirations in limiting risk. Now, the one that you've all been waiting for, this is B's trading strategy. I just copied her strategy straight from the trading server, and we're going to run through it. So the first thing she does is more of her routine. She gave a lot of info here. We're going to break it down. I'm going to explain it to you guys. So she scans through news to see if anything she likes, and she avoids ones with huge spread, such as TTD and Amazon, just like my trading strategy. Then she avoids the usuals like Apple and AMD unless they have unusual flow, which is understandable, because these are common stocks and they're highly manipulated and they fake out too often, just like she said. She's going to check flow on these tickers. What that means is she's going to go to black box, flow algo, something, we have option sweep bots on the server, and she's going to check the flow on these tickers to see the calls and puts or whatever's going in on these options. Now, or into these stocks rather. Then she's going to run her scanners in pre-market. This is not the volume breakout scanner. We have other scanners that we use on Thinkorswim and other places to, plan our plays for the day. The volume breakout scanner is more of as we go throughout the day, although it's mostly where our plays come from. She has her method of which she sets up and pre-plans all her plays throughout the day, and that's how she usually gets in on these so fast. Then BBS flow is basically, the option sweep bots. She looks to see when they're buying in the money calls. So once they start buying in the money calls, or closing deep in the money calls, and she sees put flow coming in, then she starts to close her position. Because what that means is that when they're buying more in the money, is that they're going more safer, because remember, in the money is not going to decay as much as out the money. Say the stock's at $25 and you're buying 40 out the money calls versus those 20 in the money calls, because 20 in the money calls will have less risk, because if the stock falls, they're not going to fall as much percentage wise. So that's it. Also, you can look at like when they start going, further out expirations. Then a sizable put flow means, people are buying puts on the stocks and they're, basically significant. Like you see a lot of puts coming in. She uses support and resistance and fib to time her exits as well. If you guys don't know what those are, you can check out the seminars and videos channel of the R2K Trading server in Pro and basically break down technical analysis from scratch. Now on to number 7. She says number 7 is really important, so we're going to break this one down. The first 15 to 30 minutes, she's out 50% of her position, so she's secured back her initial investment. So if you notice, a lot of her plays end up running, maybe a couple 100%, and that's really, really crucial to secure your investment back before you let those run completely. Because after you secure that 100% in the beginning, then you're just letting those ride out for free and you're safeguarding yourself. Remember, the whole point of trading is to trade safely, to trade smartly, and to make your profits outweigh your losses. So you can see, she says it right here, she ends up getting in more trades to make up gain and loss, which she hates doing, and that's basically the whole process there, and she swings 20% of her runners. In short, another way we can sum up this trading method is, say you have $1,000 in your account and you split it up into 10 trades, which is $100 each, and her calls are usually out the money, in which she's running up the premium, running up the extrinsic value on it as they come closer to the money. And these are especially best on Fridays, because you know how time decay works, and if you can catch the right runner, you can easily clock over 1,000% or so. And this is basically how that works. She has a high win rate, so about 70-80% on these calls, and it works for her because she's able to run those out the money calls, the ones that you would stay away from usually, but she's gaining more than 200, maybe 100, 200, 300% on each play. And that's the way that this growth plan works. It's like, okay, say you have $1,000 and you take that first 100 and you gain 200% on it. Then that $100 becomes $200 profit. So now your whole account is at $1,300. Say the second play, you lose the $100 completely. Quite normally, you wouldn't lose it completely. Maybe you'll cut at $50 or so, but let's say you lose it completely. Now you're down to $1,200, but you're still up on the day. Now let's take the account on a whole. So let's say this 10 plays. Let's say you win on 7 plays and you get an average of 200% on each. Well, 7 plays, 200% each, $700, 200%. You're looking at $1,400 there. So your account's at $2,400. Now those $100, the 3 ones that are left, those are going to be counting as a loss. So we're going to subtract 300 from that. So you're looking at $2,100 total is your account balance. That's still a 110% increase from what you had before. So that is how this trading strategy works. Usually, if you're a beginner, you want to stay away from those out the money calls. This is a more pro trading strategy and will only work if you have a high consistency, high win rate, and a high tolerance, because you need to be able to hold them for more than 100 and maybe even 200, 300%. So that's basically trading strategies in a summary. So now we're going to go on, how much could you have made this week if you started with a balance of $1,000? So we're just going to go through our day trades here, and we're going to say, okay, we started Monday with $1,000. How much could you have made this week if you played effectively? So I'm going to go through and break down each play. So 111, this is Monday, you have $1,000 buying power. So the first one that was called was GameStop. That was $160 play, and that was a swing. So we're just going to leave that there. That's taking out $160 from your account. We're going to say we're risking 20% of our account on trades. So the max we really want to go is $200 on each trade. We're looking ideally for around 5 trades, but as you can see, we have about 6 here because we split it up a little different. So we have GME, that one's a swing. Then we have Blink. This one was called out by Scott, 50 call, 121 to 260. Day trade, okay, that's some profit right there. So the numbers on the right, the 260 includes the 121 in it. Then we have DDD. So this one I called out. say it was $90, we're going to take two of those calls, 180, that's under a 200 budget. That goes to 380. GoGo was break even. LLY was cut at a small loss, almost 18% loss. Ride, we're looking at 165 to 420. Great call. So in summary, we closed that day with $1,569 profit with GME as a swing. Now the next day, our buying power would be 1409 because we had that swing on hand. So that one, basically, we're assuming we're using a cash account here. That one does not count for your buying power. So Etsy was the first one called out. That was $300. Now this one would have been a little bit of a discrepancy as you're cutting close to that buying power, but you're taking $300 to $1,210 in display. Then Intel was called out by Scott. This one was a swing. APXT I called out $55. We'll take two of those just because these are smaller stocks with more risk. You only want to take maybe $100 to $200 on these, but because this was a $55 call, remember these can decay fast. If you take a $55 call and it moves down 0.1, you're automatically at $45. That might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot of percentage. I'm going to show you exactly how. So if we pull up a calculator here and we're looking at $55, let's say that one tanks by 0.1. So now we're at 0.45. When you go to cut, you're most likely going to have to sell at 0.4. So if you take a 15% loss on that $55 or not 15% or 15-cent loss on that $55 call, that's a 27% loss right there. So these, we're just going to say we went a little bit lighter on, especially since the stock is low. It's like, stocks in the smaller, lower number range. Then we have XPEF, so we took two calls there. Fubo, profit, Uber, profit, ACB, and these are all of our day trades. We end up closing the day at 32.57 profit. Now on to 113. Our buying power for the day was 29.45. Cash GME and Intel this day. There was also a GME, wasn't a swing. The GME swing was the 41.90 profit. Then the Intel GME 25 calls that day, you would have taken 4 just because you're playing with that 20% range. So 4 calls would have been 200, although you could have taken more. But then again, we're talking about that, the stock being a low price stock and managing risks. So these are ideal trades you could have taken using the trading strategy we had mentioned above, a combination of those like mine, B's, Scott's, however you want to put them. AMD was cut for a loss. JPM profited about 40%. So in total, you would have closed this day with $13,399. Remember, this is $1,000 to $13,399, and this is only 3 days in the week. So now we go on to the next day where you have SPCE, Maxar, Neo, TSM, GoGo, Snow. So I'm not going to break these down all the way, but what I am going to say, you see how we have SPC 42 times 10. So now we're saying, okay, we're allotting $500 maybe per play. And you can see here, we use that, Neo as well, TSM, GoGo. The only reason GoGo is 100 because that was called out as a lotto. Same thing with Snow, $570. We were taking one call there just because to manage risk. Even if you took another call when we averaged down, maybe you would have ended up with, let's say, another $100 loss. Just putting it, although it wasn't that much, the closing balance still would have been $17,564. So what you're basically doing here is you're going through your trading strategy. So you can see here every day as our balance is increasing, we're also increasing the amount we can use per call. But if you notice something, we didn't use anywhere close to all of our buying power on the day. And the reason being, you don't have to use out all of your buying power on the day. And this is just the day trades that we called out. You would have made around $4,000 profit, about $4,300 almost. So now we go on to the next day. We're looking at, this is lastly 115. Would be Friday. MVIS and DM right off the bat, those were break even. PLTR 56 times 6, we're looking around $500 to $600 per play now. Remember, you're moving it up as your account balance grows, or you're cashing out your account balance and using the same amount the next day. So PLTR, you would have cashed out $10.20. SRNE now $25, $16,400, because now you're able to allot a little bit more to those kind of risky plays rather than 100, like what we were talking about above here when I was talking about, let's see, that APXT play right here, going from 55, you took 2 to 110. We're able to allot a little bit more. You know, we have a lot of profits to play with, a lot more higher risk tolerance than when we had $1,000. So now you have SRNE, INO, CCIV, BYND, LOY, the whole summary right there. But the main takeaways that you want to get from this, or from these whole like play breakdowns throughout here, is the size that we put in. So about LLY, like 50 times 10, BYND 50 times 10. But remember, we have a very high account balance now. And basically you would have taken 1K to around $21,269 this last week, which was 27% gain. And this is all from knowing how to use the right trading strategy. So if we go back at the beginning from when we started with $1,000 here, you can see how our risk tolerance was versus on the very last day when you're able to buy more contracts, 16 of these. If this was the very first day when we started with $1,000, we would have only been using 4 of these. Probably wouldn't have went in, maybe BYND 2, LLY 2, CCIV wouldn't have even been on that list because that was out of our budget. So this is really what you want. This is why you want to make a trading strategy. Our trading strategy throughout basically stayed the same, except when our account balance began growing. Once it started growing, we adjusted our amounts that we would allot to each play, and basically we decided our plays off of that. So this is just using day trades, and that's basically $1,000 right there to $21,269. So once again, guys, this is why you want to create a trading strategy. This is why you want trading strategy, and this is why you should have one. So if you guys have any questions, you can DM me on Discord, or you can comment on this YouTube video.